I was born in Lower Manhattan. It was called, we were in a 5 Points mission, was in, the area was called, because it was, the streets all formed like, met and formed a sort of like a star. And it was mostly Italian, Chinese, Polish, Jewish, and a scattering of Spanish and Greek. Now, the children, my mother and father, and we had a boarder, one of my mother's cousins. He came from Italy and was a bachelor, and he lived with us. We lived in 4 rooms, and we had the bathroom was in the, at the beginning, the bathroom was in the hallway. And the 4 families had shared 2 bathrooms, and it was just a toilet. The sink was in the kitchen, and there was a big tub in the kitchen with a cover. And on Saturday, the cover would come off, and we'd all take a bath, a proper bath. Because during the week, my mother would take a baby tub and put it across 2 chairs, and she would take us into the room and wash us down. She'd put a towel on the floor and then wash us every night before we went to bed, so we were clean for the morning. The day that we heard, it was a Sunday, we had gone to early Mass, and when we came out, we got the radio announced that Pearl Harbor was bombed. And of course, everybody was, didn't know what to do. We didn't know, we were talking about it and what's going to happen. And it was just a shock to everyone. And young couples were very nervous because they realized that the husband would eventually have to go to war and leave behind babies. And that's how, how we learned about World War II. Then it happened. Everything happened. People, their lives were disrupted. Then they started to prepare. What if the enemy attacks the United States? We were told we had to buy drapes that were lined so that if the lights were on, they couldn't be seen by a low-flying airplane, enemy airplane, and the street lights were very dim, and my father was the warden for the building.
So he was too old to go.
He was too old to go to the service. So this is what they gave him that assignment, or he volunteered to do it because he was the superintendent of the building. Mm-hmm. So he would. It was a 5-story building. Each floor had a bucket of sand. I don't know how much good that could have done, but in case there was bombings, if they could put out little small fires, and he would go on the roof at night and with binoculars, and they would look for aircraft. And
he loved that job, didn't he?
He loved it, yes. Yeah. Because it gave him, if he felt he was doing something for the war effort. And then through the years, we had some neighborhood boys that were injured. I know my cousin, a female cousin, her fiance was killed. His name was Jimmy. And every so often there would be a mass for a boy that was killed overseas. And another thing, the parents, the mother, they would give her a banner to put in her window with the star. She was called the Gold Star Mother because she had a child that was killed, during the war. That was in the service. We sort of like the kids are doing today with the pandemic. You're in the situation. You have to make the best of it. Mm-hmm. It's sad, and some things could be funny, but you're in the situation and you just lived your life. And then when we finally got word that Europe was liberated and all the Jewish people were, that were interrogated, interned, were let go. They came home and they, of course, showed it. We didn't have television, so in order for us to see pictures, we would go to the movies.
Yeah.
And you'd sit and watch the news, and they'd show you pictures of people being freed and the devastation. And we got that all through going to the movies. Nothing that we had we could see in the house. We had a radio, so we could listen to some of the news, but it wasn't visual. You didn't see it. We rationed. We couldn't get a lot of things. Like you were allowed so much meat per person. You weren't allowed things like olive oil, butter, eggs. Everything was rationed, but we never really suffered that. We didn't think we were suffering.
Right.
A lot of it was we would have pastas, and my mother would make a lot of rice dishes because the part of Italy she came from, they grew rice. In fact, when she was a girl, she used to work in the rice field, picking the rice. And we didn't have a lot of meat, maybe a small portion each. And then my three brothers were in the service. And when they would come home, of course, you wanted to give them the best. And so you'd share with them. And they came home, and thank God, healthy. And we were so excited. In fact, my sister had a boyfriend who was home from the service. But they were all in uniforms. The boys, like, they really weren't discharged. They were just home on leave. Mm-hmm. And a couple of his buddies, my sister was, he came to take her boyfriend came to take her to Times Square for the celebration. And he had his buddy Danny, and he was... Danny didn't have a date, so being 15, I was a big girl. They said, come on, you could be Danny's date for the night. So we all went up to the Astor Hotel in Manhattan, and Gene Krupa was starring there. And when they saw the servicemen, we were with servicemen, they said, come on, you could come into the show, to see the show. And we ended up dancing half the night away. And then we went for, we were going home, and it was the wee hours of the morning, so we stopped at a diner and had breakfast, and then came home. In the meantime, my father was so excited that when the ice cream truck came around, he bought a ton of ice cream, but we didn't have a freezer big enough for it. So it ended up melting and we had to throw it out. We had to get rid of it. But that's what I remember about that night.
Yeah. What about during...
Well, we used to sing silly songs about the Japs and about Hitler and they would tell jokes about them. And
Do you remember any of them?
no, let me think. I can't think of it right now, but I know we used to laugh, you know.